Chapter 32. I did not yet know how to address the sage. Following the example of others, I wrote a few sentences and handed them to him after the morning meditation one day. He did not ask any question, but only requested something which I repeated later on the evening of my departure from India, when I took leave of the saint. Those words contained an epitome of all that I was and am still needing to be, to follow the path shown by the Master. I became aware of this when I had proof of this being fulfilled, my only prayer. I had no others. The fact that it transcended the limits of this, my life, and that its fulfillment was possible only by one who was himself beyond what we call life and death, was a kind of assurance to me that this time I had not erred. It is well known that Maharshi does not perform miracles, that he sometimes even makes gentle fun of the so-called occult powers or siddhis of yogis and other self-styled supermen who use their psychic powers to exercise an immediate influence on their surroundings. But what else are we to call those changes which take place in his presence in the consciousness of disciples who most sincerely seek for truth? How are we to explain the strange, almost unbelievable changes in circumstances which often accompany the modifications of our inner state of consciousness? Are those cases of immediate assistance when it seemed that nothing could help anymore? Very little is spoken about it, hence we do not know much. Those who have experienced such help rarely talk of it, except to their nearest companions in the search for truth. The lack of any mysterious atmosphere around Maharshi, his utter simplicity and naturalness, create the feeling that even if some extraordinary and so-called unbelievable miracle did happen here in the hall or under the bamboo roof near the library, it would not provoke more curiosity than do the subtle designs of the incense smoke, slowly rising to the feet of the saint and then upwards to the high ceiling of the hall. The greatest miracle is Maharshi himself. I know that not all are able to feel, not even guess it. Such miracles can be known only by plunging into silence and into our own depths. Some can never do this, although each and every one feels the beneficial influence of the great Rishi. This morning there was a celebration of some Hindu saint by garlanding and smearing with red powder the stone statues of the sacred cows, one of which stands in the ashram grounds, near the fence on the side of the main road which encircles the hill. Maharshi was sitting on a chair opposite the small shrine during the whole of the ceremony, surrounded by people chanting mantras. As always, he was the same, placid and quiet, with no sign of interest in the activity of those around him. Some time afterwards, I thought I had grasped the cause of this indifference. But that is only what the mind calls it, indifference. And it is this: the sage does not believe in the reality of this visible world. He knows it is only an illusion. Dwelling all the time on the plane which embraces the whole of existence, how could he be interested in tiny fragments of happenings which are as ephemeral as smoke? It seemed to me that the most logical analysis of existence in time and space should make the above clear and obvious beyond a doubt. But I have also seen the difference between a mental concept and the realization of this truth. Of course, it is good to have a right mental conception, for it may help us to avoid mistakes. It is comparatively easy to admit that there exists a point of view from which the farthest star and the tiniest ant at our feet are equally near to or equally far from our consciousness. But it is quite a different thing to live in this inner, yet all-embracing world. If I had not been here, at the feet of one who has realized this state of consciousness, I should certainly have had no idea about such a possibility. But now hope has changed to certainty because of the presence of the living example who sheds his light all around. The second part of the ceremony took place in the temple. Trays with sacred ashes and red powder were brought, and we all put on our foreheads a token of that ancient symbol, whose spiritual meaning is now remembered only by the few.